presentation of the H.R. 5776 MOST Act by Abigail Adams and Caitlin Warren.
So the background of H.R. 5776, it's the MOST Act, and that stands for Medicare and Opioid Safe Treatment Act. It's the amendment to provide for Medicare coverage for certain services, such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, or others. It's furnished by opioid treatment programs and for other purposes. Currently, it's at the federal level, and then in May of 2018, this bill was introduced to the House of Representatives, and the person that originally introduced this policy was Representative Richard E. Neal.
We also found this on congress.gov. We picked H.R. 5776 because occupational therapy revolves around helping those complete their occupations in order to heal. This includes those recovering from opioid addiction. Both of us had personal experiences at our field work that lacked the understanding of those in opioid treatment centers. I know myself, my patient would have benefited severely if she was in an opioid treatment center that offered occupational therapy, but she knew that those areas did not, so that's why she came to my setting.
I also had a patient, and she was on opioids, and she's basically would have benefited more from the therapy if she was more focused on pain management and her medication management as well. So the goals of this bill, as said before, it's to amend the Title 18 to provide Medicare coverage for those services. And the main focus of this is to have Medicare cover those services. That's kind of number one. Another goal for this is also for the hopes that the services will decrease the pain and increase pain management for these patients. And then if this does pass, it could potentially reduce the number of opioid addictions for individuals receiving these services.
In regards to the history of our bill, it was introduced in May of 2018 when it was referred to the Committee of Energy and Commerce. The latest action of the bill was the amendment in June of 2018 when the acting committee proposed the current amendment. Occupational therapy-based treatment has shown to help those manage pain in ways other than medication. Above is a diagram showing the number of deaths from opioid use on a national average, which shows the epidemic and why this bill is so important.
So the interested actors for this bill, for formal actors, is Representative Richard E. Neal, and as said before, he is the one that introduced the bill. And then the informal actors, that's George Holding, Matt Cartwright, and Scott Taylor. Those are all co-sponsors. Some more informal actors are the committees, the House of Energy and Commerce Committee, and the House of Ways and Means Committee.
The model used to analyze this policy is incrementalism. Incrementalism is a model decision-making in which policy change is accomplished through small, incremental steps that allows decision-makers to adjust policies as they learn from their successes and failures. In order to use this fully, we need to know a little bit of history. So about 21 to 29% of patients have been prescribed opioid medications. Out of those, 8 to 12 have developed an opioid use disorder, showing the need for this bill's change. Through the steps of incrementalism, they will be able to implement part of the bill that you can do stepwise. So this means that they can try to make Medicare and skilled services into opioid treatment centers, see if that works, and move on to make it countrywide or make it every facility, and they can move on from there.
There are some things to consider when using this method of analysis for this bill. The first is the cost of the services being implemented. Also, if the treatment centers have facilities that are capable of providing space needed for those services. Also, if the patients would actually benefit from all the services that were being covered by Medicare. And also if there would be anything in place in order to regulate or protect the maintenance of these services.
H.R. 5776 has an impact on occupational therapy practitioners because they can provide more effective treatment to individuals with chronic pain than medication alone. Having an open mindset for emerging areas in occupational therapy can be beneficial and outside of the treatment locations already known, as well as it can open the door for more areas for research as well as educations to help benefit our field.
So as this bill goes through the process, we want to continue to follow it in the pathway and where it ends up and everything that happens to it. And obviously the hopes for it is for it to be passed, and hopefully it'll become more of a recognizable bill, and maybe that'll open more doors to have more research behind things like this or even more bills related to this area.
And with that, this bill opens up the door for the possibility of Medicare paying for special services in opioid treatment centers, and we hope that through testing this out that it is shown effective and that it benefits the person as a whole and will be implemented across the country.
These are just a few resources that give a little bit more information about this bill, kind of goes more in depth.
And here are our references. Thank you!